Welcome everyone. I counted this time. It's our seventh talk of our summer series, and today we have the amazing Aimee Beck. She is one of my most favorite humans in the world, and she is, the queen of 589 spirit, and one of the original people to really kind of kickstart business within 589. So I know she's gonna have a great talk to you for all of us today. And so go ahead, Aimee, take it away.
Beautiful. Yeah, so I'm going to be talking about how it's not all about you and why you should volunteer more. Uh, so this is a little bit of my background. Graduated CV in 2012. I was on the team for 3 years. It was the greatest 3 years of my life. Just kidding. Life does get better after high school. I volunteered everywhere that I could. So really any volunteer opportunity there was in La Crescenta, I was probably there. After high school, I went to GCC, represent, where I kept volunteering, started working, kept working, never really stopped. And I got my associates there. So you guys, you can get your degree, like a full degree at GCC. So don't discount it. While I was at GCC, I got married to this guy right there. And straight out of GCC, we moved to Germany. So as soon as I got here, I kept working on my degree, then started working for the military. As soon as I started working, I also started volunteering because, why stop what you know? So I started volunteering primarily with Ramstein Girl Scouts out here, and then that expanded. So now I'm a global facilitator for all of Girl Scouts overseas. So basically, I help run any trainings that they need in anywhere overseas. So we have Girl Scouts in Africa, South America, everywhere in the world, and I can train anyone anywhere. I also volunteered for a while with Scouting BSA and am a key spouse, which is basically I help families, spouses get used to the military and adapt to, especially being overseas. Yeah, it's really fun. So, bottom line up front, this is what I'm going to be talking about. Figure out what you're passionate about, invest your time in your community, whatever that community may be. In the end, you are what you contributed to the world, so make it count. So that is what I will be going over really quick. So why to volunteer? Because if you don't know why are you going to do it? So these are the main reasons why people volunteer. It is actually proven that volunteers live longer. Older people who have volunteered are physically functional longer, have better well-being, live longer. So volunteer, you'll live a longer life. It also helps establish strong relationships, not just romantic relationships, friendships. You're working alongside people that are like you. They support the same causes you do. They feel strongly about something just like you do. And then it gives you a sense of purpose because you're choosing to do it. You're working without being paid. So everyone is working toward the common goal selflessly, at least for the most part. And it's good for society because the businesses and organizations you're volunteering with are committed to doing good things for society. So they're basically picking up the pieces where government programs left off, or truthfully, government didn't always have the money for everything they're trying to do. So people volunteer to fill in the gaps. It's also good for your career, but again, that's self-fulfilling. But it is also really good for your career. So I volunteer specifically for my community. So for me, community isn't just where I live. It's anything surrounding me. So it's not just Ramstein, it's my entire military community, because we all have a common purpose, a common goal. I want to help them. So when I was living in La Crescenta, I wanted to volunteer because La Crescenta supported me and molded me into who I was when I left the community. So I tried to put as much energy into the community as the community put into me. When I moved to Thailand, though, it was completely different. It was in a community. They didn't know me. I didn't know them. They hadn't done anything for me yet. And it was a big struggle because it's also a community where everyone's transient. So everyone's there for usually a max of 4 years. So nobody fully commits themselves to the community because they know they're going to be gone in a few years anyway. So why put in your time and resources? I see the world a little bit differently than that. I would rather pour everything I have into it because I want the world to be a little bit better than when I got there. So I had to create the environment of volunteering and making the world a better place because there wasn't necessarily one in place for that already. So as I kept doing that, I expanded my circle little by little and got other people to do it too, like this guy. If he were out here without me, he probably wouldn't have volunteered for anything. He would have known that he's only here for a few years, and why put his time in when he can put his time into his career or anything else? We don't have kids. Why do we volunteer for Girl Scouts? We volunteer because it's better for the community, but it's not directly helping us. But at the same time, I also know that my time here is limited as well. We will be leaving here in 2023, which still seems like a crazy amount away, but it comes faster than you realize. And you want to make sure that your work is always outliving you. So I want to make sure that I'm putting things in place that aren't going to fail as soon as I leave. So you never want to be the single point of failure for any organization. You want to make sure that anything you do will continue on. So that's why I volunteer. So then you need to figure out what your passion is, right? So you need to find where you fit into your community. So what are your interests? What do you like to do? And there's no reason you should stick with just one thing or stick with it forever. You know, find something that you think might make you happy. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. You'll probably make the world a little bit better while you do it. But if it keeps you happy, you'll be a solid volunteer. You don't want to volunteer with people that aren't loving what they're doing. So why would you want to be that person for someone else? So like Girl Scouts again, I never would have expected to love it. Clearly I do, because I now oversee all of Ramstein Girl Scouts. But I never would have known that if I didn't try. If it does become a good fit, it's kind of like 589. You become a family. That's like the ultimate goal for any volunteer opportunity. You want it to feel like you just gained another family. Also, don't limit it to just large organizations. Small organizations need help too. So find a small community organization that makes you happy or has a mission or goal set that you relate with. They need help. Try it. See if you like it. Maybe you will. Maybe you don't. That's a big of a deal. It's all good. So the two main things to keep in mind are know what you want to give. So how do you want to volunteer? Are you someone that likes people? Are you someone that doesn't like people at all and would rather just sit on their computer and write something or post something online. That's still volunteering. That still counts. And what do you want to get out of it? Like, that's really why we do anything, right? These two things. So are you trying to meet people? Are you trying to get more involved in where you're living? Are you trying to learn more? Whatever it is, you need to figure out these before you can figure out what you want to do. Because this is how you find what your passion is. And if you can't find what you're looking for, do it yourself. Because others probably feel the exact same way. There's probably someone out there that is looking for the exact same volunteer opportunity that you are, and they don't know how to start either. So reach out, try and figure it out, see if there's something, and always ask. There's so many times when people would come up to me and say, hey, well, I didn't know that you would want someone, like, I didn't know that you guys would need a treasurer for Girl Scouts. Well, yeah, but if you don't ask, you'll never know. And then sometimes it does need to be about you. So this is one of my favorite phrases. Before you assist others, always put your oxygen mask on first. So you hear that anytime you get in a plane, it means you can't save others if you don't save yourself first, right? So make sure that you are leaving time for yourself and your other responsibilities. Make sure you set expectations of what you want to do and how long you want to do it and how much time you realistically have to set aside. Yeah. And then the second one is when you stop being fulfilled, stop going. You don't have to volunteer forever. When you stop feeling like that is something that you're interested in, or that's what your passion is, or when you're just done, when you need a break, do it. Nobody's going to shame you for it. And if they do, they probably shouldn't be volunteering either because they're probably not doing it for selfless reasons. You are just a volunteer. If you're not having a good time, ask for a change. Ask if you can try something else or try a different aspect of it. So I've had some Girl Scout leaders where you can tell they're just not having a good time. You know, you can tell they're not having it. They're not, the reasons they volunteered aren't there anymore. Which, if they don't step down, means that you now have volunteers that aren't making it the greatest experience for their girls. Because nobody wants to have that leader that's not really putting their whole into it. They're just kind of doing the bare minimum, if that, to get by. So that means the girls aren't getting their best experience either. But if those people would come to me and say, hey, just not having a good time anymore. This isn't it. Fantastic. Thank you for letting me know. We will find something else for you or move someone else into that position. So it's not selfish to say no. Then volunteers should be recognized. Don't make it why you volunteered because that's not the right reason to do it. But volunteers should get the recognition in some form, whether it's just a, hey, thanks for coming out. You did a really good job. Or a medal, like I got there. So that was me winning an annual award for Stephen's unit, actually. And that was at a point where I was getting a little bit fed up with volunteering again. I didn't know when to say no, so I kept going. It happens. It's a terrible feeling, but getting that recognition, and even if it wasn't a trophy, even if it was just thanks for what you do, would have helped me continue doing what I was doing, helping others. So that's also something to remember if you're ever in charge of an organization or in charge of a group of people. Make sure you recognize your people. And then another reason to do it for you, you can get scholarships for volunteering. That's how I got through most of college, was through scholarships. I know that's unreasonable for a lot of the four-year colleges, but the path that I went on with GCC and then a smaller four-year college, I could get through almost all of it just on scholarships alone, mostly by volunteering. So make sure you, if you are someone that is volunteering, make sure to look for those opportunities. Almost every organization in La Crescenta has some sort of scholarship. They are always looking for worthy people to give money to. So make sure to do it. Make sure to reach out. And I know Mrs. Martos is always there looking for people to connect people to scholarships. So reach out. And yeah, this is a pretty good mantra. Every morning, wake up and remind yourself it's not all about me. Then ask yourself, how can I contribute to another person's life today? Even if it's just a small thing, try to every day do something for someone else. It's a good way to live your life. It's a good way to make everyone happy. Y'all, the world is hard right now. We need to help each other out. Do something small for someone. Yeah, that was really quick. Questions, comments, concerns?
Aimee, I want to know how many Girl Scout cookie boxes of cookies you last year.
Too many and not enough. I feel like our total number was like 50,000 boxes, right? I think it was like 50,000 boxes.
And does that all get shipped to you guys, and then you have to get it out to the Girl Scout troops?
So we actually facilitate the Girl Scout cookies for about 5 of the communities out here. So they all get shipped to us, and then we have to dole them out to not only our Girl Scouts, but everyone else's Girl Scouts too.
Wow.
It's really fun. Mm-hmm. It's a fun week.
So I know that you two were involved in mentoring an FTC team.
Yes.
Did you also do FLL or just FTC?
So we were going to mentor an FTC team, and then COVID. So they couldn't do anything. But we're going to mentor an FLL team. But honestly, that was one of the times where we looked at what we were doing and said, if we start doing this, there is going to be something else in life that is not going to be fulfilled correctly. So we had to reevaluate our life choices for a second there. It's hard. But yes, FTC.
Oxygen masks are important. I believe Kimberly is on this call.
Hi.
She's brave enough to turn on her microphone and speak a little bit about what's going on next week.
Yeah, so on Saturday, August 8th, 589 is going to be hosting a drive-by food drive at one of the CV parking lots. It's a way for us to volunteer and do something good for our community while also being safe and protected. So yeah, we would love to have people come out and volunteer. If you can't volunteer, if you could give donations or spread it around on Instagram, everything helps.
And what kinds of things are we accepting for donations?
All kinds of things. All canned foods, boxed pasta, macaroni, fresh fruits and vegetables, cereal, anything you could think of.
So I think their preference is, of course, for the non-perishable, foods like
Yeah.
pizzas and cereals and things that are easy for them to put on their shelves. But if you have a neighbor with a fruit tree, let's say you've got a neighbor with a lemon tree and it's just drooping with lemons, you could volunteer, ask your neighbor first, right? But you could pick those lemons, put them in bags, and bring them to the food drive, and the food bank will make sure that they get out to families that need fresh fruit. So, yeah. Have you put the sign up on Discord yet?
Yeah, the sign up is up on Discord, and we just posted on Instagram today. So if you can share that to your story, that's a great way to get the word around.
And I believe there's a flyer that I'll be sending around to everybody. We'd love for people to take that flyer to their neighbors and encourage their neighbors to drive by and donate. How is it that you're planning on keeping people safe, Kimberly?
So everyone will be required to wear masks.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're also going to be providing face shields made by Eric. And we're also going to be wearing gloves and everything. And everyone's going to work in shifts of about 1 hour. And between shifts, we're going to wipe everything down with cleaning wipes just to make sure that everything's clean.
Good. And we're limiting the number of people because of the concern for everybody's safety and welfare, right?
Yeah, we only have 4 volunteer slots open for each shift.
Cool. And can you speak a little bit about how we're engaging our corporate partners?
So right now we're working with Megit to hopefully plan for them to have a donation center at their office so that their workers can come in and drop off food and we can pick it up and take it to the food bank. We're also working with Jay's Maids, and they're providing us ad space in the CV Weekly newspaper that's coming out on the 6th. And they're also going to provide us some tables to use for the event.
Now there's a question from Heather in the chat about how to donate. Heather lives far, far away, so I'm not sure she wants to jump in her car and drive down to donate food. But she says she's going to send money to her dad. So I guess he gets to go grocery shopping for Heather. Oh, Thomas would carpool to come down. I love it. Okay, so yeah, the challenge is, I think, bathrooms on the way from San Francisco down to LA. No pit stops or something like that. Right? Kimberly, are we inviting our alumni to help us with this food drive?
Yes, of course. We do want to make sure to limit how many people are there, though. So we're probably going to wait like another day or two for students to sign up for volunteer positions, but then we'll open it up to alumni and mentors.
And do students have to be members of the robotic team in order to volunteer? Like, I know we have kids who have friends in speech and debate or in the band or on sports teams. Can those people come volunteer too?
I think that's a better question for you, Mrs. Marches. Yes, they can. Thank you for the thumbs up.
We're just trying to get everybody involved, right? This has been really hard. I'm frankly, I mean, I love my office mate because I'm married to him, but I'm tired of seeing just the same people at my house. And while we're going to be outside, we're going to be safe, but it'll be nice to see some different faces from the same old folks. It's also nice to see all y'all's faces in the little video boxes. All right. Questions for Miss Aimee?
I have a question for Miss Aimee. How do you handle burnout? Because from my experience, balancing college classes and volunteering and in general just working in orgs, it can get exhausting, and that's something I learned to deal with, and certainly I know practically every other college student has dealt with. So how do you, who is going to school, working, and also volunteering, how do you handle that?
A lot of crying sessions, which is not healthy and not a great way to handle it. Mostly, I make sure that I surround myself with organizations that are open and willing to let me step back if needed. Um, and knowing when to say no, which is the hardest thing to learn, nearly impossible, because you always want to help more people and do more things, and that fear of missing out, that's rough. Y'all, that part doesn't end. You're always feeling like you're missing out if you don't attend an event, but it's totally necessary. And if you're with the right organization, they'll have no issue with you stepping back for a few weeks or a few months to recoup and get back on track.
And how much time, you talked about just getting out there and volunteering for so many different things, finding really what you like. How much time in your experience have you found it takes to know for sure that's where you want to be volunteering or not?
Ooh. Usually for me, it takes, usually by like the fourth time I've volunteered with them, I'll know for sure. But a lot of times for the first time, like when you show up for an event and it just doesn't fit correctly, when you show up for something and you're like, ooh, I'm not sure about these people, or I'm not quite sure about how this organization is being run or how this event is being run. If you don't feel comfortable with any of that, yeah, that's immediate red flag.
Aimee, hey, I have a question for you. Actually, I have a lot of questions, but I'll ask just one for now. Um, Volunteering as someone who can't say no, which is me sometimes, and I also feel like it's you sometimes. I feel like a lot of people just instinctively have a hard time saying no, can be overwhelming. So do you have any advice for people who do want to volunteer, but also have a hard time saying no?
Set your time expectations early. So, like, you have to, like, when I started volunteering, I had to figure out, okay, with work and school and sleep and, having the normal life, how many hours can I realistically allocate to volunteering, and make sure you hold yourself to that. That's the best way I have found, even though it's still very difficult. So side note, the reason I became involved with Girl Scouts, I was only a Girl Scout for 1 year, so my only real interaction with Girl Scouts was 589's FLL team. But one of my friends came to me and said, hey, so we have a Girl Scout troop that does not have a leader. And well, basically, if you don't help us with this troop, these girls don't get to be part of Girl Scouts. So when can we see you for leader training? Because she knew that that would probably work for me, and it did. Ended up working great, but I had to have a sit down with her afterwards and be like, hey, that wasn't cool. Not the best way to approach the situation. Let's try this again another time. So yeah, got to have a lot of frank conversations, but set your time expectations.
Okay, I guess I'll ask another question since I have so many and nobody else wants to ask. I believe you have done a good amount of volunteering before 589, and during 589 that was not 589. However, I would like to know how your experience with Falcon Robotics has changed your perspective on volunteering.
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think it So when I started on 589, there was no volunteering, truthfully. Like, the team didn't volunteer, they didn't do anything besides the robot. So you guys have that going for you. But that was kind of the different part for 589 for me, was it was not a set in stone, here is how you were volunteering, here's what you were doing. We had to figure it out for ourselves. So, yeah. Did that answer the question at all? I'm sorry, it's really late, guys.
It was sufficient. Thank you.
I have a question. Hi, Amy.
Hi.
I missed your entire talk because I was busy volunteering leading into it, so I think it's fine. I forgive
Totally worth
myself,
it.
even if you don't. My question would be, how do you, and maybe you mentioned it, so if so, just tell me, but how do you get other people involved in your volunteering? Because I find it's really rewarding to do it with other people, but it can also be really difficult because sometimes I am the most excited person about going and hanging out with middle school students and, you know, teaching robotics, right? And I forget that other people aren't. So what sort of strategies or, you know, things have you done in the past to get other people to join you at volunteering?
First of all, that's crazy. Nobody would ever say no to a group of middle schoolers. So best way I have found is finding the niche for whoever you're trying to get to volunteer. So, you know, they may not be willing to just go head in with volunteering directly with a bunch of middle schoolers, but maybe they'd be willing to help you set up the program itself, or find the sponsors, or find other volunteers, or find something else that isn't quite as terrifying as middle schoolers.
Nothing is as terrifying as middle school.
High schoolers.
That's great. No, I think that's great advice.
Help them tiptoe into it.
I have another question. Have you ever found that, you know, in an interview for a job, you've been able to call on your experience while volunteering and it's helped you get that job?
Yes. My current job, I'm pretty sure my volunteering was my only qualification. I'm not even kidding. So my current job is essentially any fundraiser that happens on the base has to come through me. So I am like the volunteer coordinator of the base. So without my work with organizations, I would not have been at all qualified for this job. And it has helped me so much because organizations will come to me and be like, hey, so we want to do a fundraiser, but we don't know what we want to do, or how we want to do it, or who's going to do it. So can you help us? And without having the background of actually volunteering and fundraising and doing all these crazy events, I would have no answers for them. But because of you guys, I can help them out. So congratulations, you guys have helped bases overseas raise money. But yeah, it comes up in nearly every job interview. Mostly I talk about volunteering.
That really doesn't surprise me because I feel any idea that I have, you know, as a mentor for this team, anything that I want to do like this summer series, I know I'm going to you for your advice on how to set it up and just, is it a good idea or not? And so your experience is just boundless. It's amazing.
It's mostly terrifying.
A little bit.
But to that, if I could add on to that, seriously, the work that all of you have done on this summer series of talks has been absolutely amazing, and I think has really given me heart and hope for the team. And I so appreciate everyone who's had the opportunity to speak and those who have yet to write their talks but are coming soon to a Zoom call in your future.
A Zoom call near you.
It's been super cool. You guys are truly awesome. And Brian, I know you have to go the extra mile to archive it and get it all put in a place where we can still find them. But this has been really cool. So thank you for all of your efforts.
Yeah, Brian's been doing all the actual work. I'm just riding on his coattails.
So Aimee, when Jacob was giving his talk, I asked him about the horses. So I'll ask you too, because I can't remember for that very first Orange County Regional, who was truly responsible for making the horses?
Are you talking about the coconuts?
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
Those coconuts, poor Lucas.
Oh yeah, I had forgotten about the coconuts.
He wanted to drink it.
Man. He wanted to.
It's not like we
probably should check
intentionally
first.
gave it to him.
Oh, we're such bad mentors. Oh no.
Terrible. We should probably tell the story.
Yeah. Brian, you go on.
I'll start it because so that year was the Stronghold year, and I was a mentor in training who would really only show up for the competitions. It was, my favorite part. But the first competition in Orange County, I was going down there, and I'm like, oh, horses, I'll get the coconuts, we can clap them together, and it'll be cool. So in the desert in Riverside, I'm like, where can I get coconuts? So I go to a store, there's coconuts. I've never bought coconuts before, so I just grab one. I'm like, okay, this works. Buy it, go down to Orange County, and we get there, and we're like, okay, how do we open this coconut? So we took a hammer, because that's what you do. So we smashed
In
it.
front of the door.
Yeah, we weren't thinking at all. We smashed and break it open. It's useless, but the problem was it was also moldy because this coconut's probably been sitting in the desert for months, and so it wasn't a good coconut. But Lucas, he's like, oh, I've never drinking coconut milk or juice, whatever it is.
We had not seen the inside of the coconut at this point. It had just started to crack.
That is true. We could smell it. We knew it wasn't right, but Lucas was like, let me taste it. Let me drink it. So he drank it. He goes and throws up almost immediately. We learned that, it's fermented inside, so yay. That's great.
Oh, man. Oh, wow.
I think there's elements of the story about which I was unaware.
But the best part was, Dr. Neat was aware. Because he came and saved us.
Saved us, for sure.
Good
Oh, man. Oh. You know what? We created memories. Lucas will never forget that.
Hey, we won the Spirit Award that weekend, so
That's true.
that's the important part.
So good.
Oh, man. Lynn, was that the story you were thinking of, or was it?
So I remember the coconut element. I remember the horses that you made. And then
Oh, my gosh.
the hammer also got turned into a horse, a sparkly horse. And I think that happened at the next regional. I'm not sure why, but Jacob kept running around with a hammer with a horse head on it.
I think because we had run out of sticks.
I think we didn't have sticks and we used a hammer instead. So turns out you can turn anything into a spirit object.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good.
that's a great memory. But yes, Dr. Neat did save us by going to the market on his way and grabbing a coconut that was still good and teaching us how to open it.
Good. So, Aimee, if I may, and you kind of addressed this, but you are working still on your bachelor's degree?
I will be done in October.
You were done in October, or you will be done?
I will be done.
So
Yeah.
this is not what your talk is about, but I do, since we have some kids online who are heading off to college, and we know that life has gotten a little bit crazy. You've actually been attending online university, right? You're not
Yes.
school there in Germany.
My school is the University of Maryland Global College, entirely online, entirely at my own pace. Well, okay, relatively at my own pace, but like we don't have Zoom meetings or anything like that with our professor. So you have a week to finish each week's assignments, finish them wherever you want, which is great because that means I can finish them at 3 in the morning when I finally have time, which probably means I need to step back with something, but that's fine. Again, it's all good.
How did you find the program, and what was it that attracted you to it?
So they actually have a office on base. So they are huge for military. There's like 3 or 4 different online only colleges out here that the military members get to choose from. Not choose from, they can apply if they want to. The military does not force you to do school for the most part. But yeah, it was the best fit for me because I wanted to major in communications with a minor in women's studies, and they had the best program for that.
I'm sorry. So I found Dr. Neat with the horse hammer. I'm gonna steal your sharing since it didn't show up well.
Oh man, that makes me so happy. Wow. Wow.
So yeah.
You know what? That's almost as good a spirit as the Anner sign.
Go Anner.
Go Anner.
Oh,
For those that don't know, Anner was our best member of the team. He was a part of everything and nothing.
He's won Arshak every year. He's been a captain every year.
He is a doctor of everything.
Unlike Tanner. We love you, Tanner.
Yeah.
That hurts.
Does anyone else have any questions for Aimee before we wrap up today?
Aimee, I have another question for you.
Yes.
If I could remember the question, that'd be better. Oh, yes, I do. So you said sometimes with volunteering, you know, there are good moments and bad moments. Sometimes you're just fatigued or just upset at the students, individuals you volunteer for with. During those times, low times, let's call them low times, where you're this close of just throwing in the towel, do you have a story of something happening where you're like, you know what, this is great, I'll continue going? Some sort of silver lining story, you know?
Ooh. Oh man. Yes, but I need to figure out what it is. What's my silver lining story for volunteering?
And also, in case you don't have one and you just kept going through regardless, tell us why. Tell us why. Still good to know.
You know what? Okay, Girl Scouts, because Girl Scouts are my story for everything. So one of my favorite moments was we were working on our Bronze Award, which, for those that don't know, is the first level of award that Girl Scouts can earn when they're in 4th and 5th grade, right? 5th, 6th? I don't know. I can't remember years. Guys, I don't have kids. I just play one on TV. So we were working on their award, and it was a struggle because some of the girls were about to move. We had to finish this thing up all of a sudden, and they decided that they wanted to do it on animals, which is honestly so overdone. Everyone wants to do it on animals. Of course you want to do it on your dog's photo because dogs are cute and they're fun to work with. So made it happen, worked with an animal or a shelter out here, and all of a sudden we were working on the final part where the girls decided they wanted to write an article, which for those that don't know, I was a journalist for quite a few years as well. So I was like, yeah, we got this. This is awesome. We were writing it, and all of a sudden you could see it click in the girls' minds like, oh, I understand this. Like, I understand what we are doing this for. We are writing an article to tie together everything we did, and so we can teach others what we did. And like, you could just see their little gears in their brain turning, and it was just, oh, it was beautiful. Oh, I cried like a baby after that. It was great. Those are the good tears too. Oh, also, anytime we won, like 589 wins an award, again, crying like a baby. Just so you guys know, you can't see it. They are always happening. All the alumni sit there and cry like babies.
It's true.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Aimee. And thank you for everyone who showed up to attend. Thank you for, sitting through our inside jokes and stories. And it's fun to
There's
catch up
so
with
many.
friends, and we clearly need to do it more often, Aimee. Aimee, do you have any last words?
Let me know what you guys are doing. If you guys find something that you love, ask Brian to give you my contact info. Message me, Facebook me, I don't care, whatever. Tell me what you're doing. Ask me if you need help. I'm here. And I'm up late for you guys too, so it's really nice.
Thank you for interrupting your sleep schedule for us. We are very grateful.
I would do it anytime.